want to, what we'll set up this time is or do we have which districts are here, so just so I know who's.
Superintendent Seaton is here from Patterson, and Kelso. Chris Rugg of Kelso and John Seaton of Patterson School District are here.
So we'll go through each of the waivers like we did last time, but for Kelso and Patterson, we will stop afterwards to offer an opportunity for board members to ask specific questions of the individuals who come from the district, so thank you for that. So why don't you start?
Okay, well, just to recap the two option one applications, we have Kelso School District requests renewal of its waiver of 1 day for the next 3 years that they will use, are using, which will continue to use at the beginning of the school year for a transition day for 6th graders and 9th graders to ease in adjusting to the new school environments that they will be in, and they cite reduced absenteeism, reduced discipline problems, better grade point averages,
Can you talk into the mic? I'm sorry.
Talking to the microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry. As among their goals for the waiver. And they provided some data indicators on how they've been doing against those goals during the term of the first waiver. And Tacoma School District is requesting a waiver.
So we just finished Kelso.
Kelso, yes. So maybe we should.
So, does anyone have questions about the Kelso application now that we have the representative from Kelso here? And if you want to come up, just say your, yeah.
Can you make a comment as opposed to a question?
Comments would be like part of the testimony during our public hearing, but any clarification questions we can. Are there, Peter?
Yeah, I had the opportunity of visiting Kelso about a month ago, so I didn't see in your materials what your poverty level is, and I'm bringing you this lunch if you would have that information.
I don't have that exact information here. At the last school that I came out of, it was about 50% at Cali Middle School.
Thank you.
I did just have one follow-up question for you about what the other, so it's this transition day, right, is for students going into 9th grade and elementary students going into middle. If other staff were doing things during those days who weren't impacted by the transition day.
Yeah, everybody in those schools are participating in the transition day. So even if you're not teaching 6th grade or 7th or 8th grade teacher, you're participating in that. Same with the high school. And it's our opportunity for them, those new students, to really get to know and create relationships with everybody in the building.
What happens at the elementary?
We don't have a transition day there, mostly because they have a single teacher that they're working with. They're not learning new buildings and having to go to a variety of different places. So those students are all in attendance that day. It's a regular school day.
Oh, it's a regular school day.
It is a regular school day.
Okay, now I understand. Okay, great.
It's only 6.
Any other questions? I'm sorry, and if you wanted to introduce yourself, I forgot to.
My name is Chris Ryan, and I'm Director of Student Services.
Thank you for coming. We'll move on to the next one, thanks. Thank you so much.
The second microphone.
Comment.
The second application for an option one waiver is from Tacoma School District, which requests waiver of 4 days for use as data days. Those would be spread out during the school year, and they would be used to learn the use of data, to analyze data on student performance, and then to use that data to develop lesson plans and interventions for students. And they provide a link to their website where their goals are listed, and talk talk about how they, and discuss how the data analysis is used to compare student progress against those goals.
Are there any-
So I think I would summarize
Okay.
briefly as that. And there was a question yesterday
Yes.
that Board Member Jennings asked about how the the 2 non-student days are used, and those are personal responsibility, professional responsibility
Right.
days, and I forwarded that to the members. I don't have my laptop, so I don't have that in front of me, what the response was, but those are contracted days, and I'm at a disadvantage because I can't read what was said to me
Can
just
Parker pull it up?
now.
It's
On my cell phone, yes,
Yeah.
don't have that either. If someone,
We're reading it.
We're
oh,
reading
okay,
that.
oh,
You
you're
can make it
reading now.
bigger.
Okay, the additional days are called PERS days, and they
There
are
we go.
contracted days. The professional responsibility stipend, or PERS, recognizes that employees provide a professionally responsible level of services, et cetera, et cetera. It says that some of the services might include attendance the day before the first student day and at the conference semester day, preparation of classroom or workspace before, during, and after school, conferencing with parents. This strikes me as pretty standard contract language, frankly. I've seen it before,
Yeah.
for whatever that is
Thank you.
worth.
Is there any discussion or other questions about the Tacoma? Oh, Deborah?
So Jack, yesterday you mentioned that there was some level of discretion whether this was a new application or a renewal, because
Yes.
they had 2 days and now they're going to 4 days, but, so they didn't really present us anything on the impact of when they were using the 2 days.
No, they didn't, and that's a bit of a paradox, I suppose. The rules state that for continuation of an existing waiver, the following additional information must be provided. And that has to do, those are a series of questions that have to be addressed about how successful the waiver plan was in reaching its goals. Please provide data, and the other parts of that application. So is a request for a waiver of 4 days when the district had a waiver of 2 days, even if the purposes and activities are similar? Is that a new waiver or a continuation of an existing one?
So was that?
And, you know, that may be a flaw in the rules, if that's not exactly clear.
Because that was guidance that was given to them.
Yes.
So it wasn't that they decided.
No, they asked the question
That
of
was
me,
the guidance.
and that was the response that I gave.
Maybe that needs to be clarified in our rules, because they did, I think, the 2 days as a pilot, and now they felt that they got some benefit, but we really don't know what that benefit is.
Yeah. And we have some time. I could ask that question of the district to see if there's any response they would be able to provide on that this afternoon, if there's time.
I think it's. Okay, next.
Okay, and last we have the option 2 waiver application from Patterson School District, which requests continuation for another 2 years of the waiver of 34 days to operate on a modified calendar to have a 4-day week with longer school days, still meeting the instructional hour requirement. And the purpose of this waiver, as it's stated in the law, is for economy and efficiency purposes, and is limited to a very small number of very small districts in the state. And Patterson provides a table page 171 of what is estimated savings in the 2013-14 school year does not update that data in the application or project what its future savings might be as state funding has changed in the interim in certain ways, and stresses the academic benefits that they believe and the other benefits to the students and the parents in terms of longer blocks of time for instruction to take place, the ability to provide extra assistance and intervention for students after school, the reduced disruption by being able to schedule activities on Fridays that might otherwise take place during the regular school day, the reduced absenteeism that they believe has resulted from that on the part of both students and teachers, and reduced discipline problems as well as avoiding the transportation, the long bus rides one day of the week. And Superintendent John Seaton is here in the audience, and
Do you wanna come up? Do we have any specific questions for the superintendent while he's here about his application? Trey?
Any, I was gonna say unintended consequences. Unintended could be positive, but, you know, I remember when this came before us before, once it was explained how big the district is, and just, I mean, it's its own, could be a state. But, I'm just curious, I just wanted, and thanks for putting the testimonies in here, it's really helpful to bring to life what you're saying, but I'm just trying to better learn, in doing this, clearly, if you want to do it again, are the things that you were unforeseen, whether positive or negative, that from doing it already, that were anything you do a little differently, or are you doing exactly the same thing you did before?
Well, I actually think we're doing some things differently now that we didn't do last year. And that is, you know, sometimes when you have a small district and you're trying to juggle bus routes, suddenly, and that's how we figured out how to suddenly do an extended day, is that, as luck would have it, a bus broke down, a large bus that used to take kids on one long loop. And we had a mini bird that would take half as many kids. So suddenly, one of the staff members said, you know what, if we take the kids furthest away, home first, we could take all the town kids, which is about 33 town kids, we can just have them stay after school for another 45 minutes and do homework. So we thought, hey, let's try that. So we did that, and now we're trying to figure out, and that'll be part of it, and I think I mentioned it in our M&O, that we're gonna put forward in spring next year, is how do we do that for kids at, say, 100 circles, which is about another 35 kids. So that suddenly, by exam, when you have a disruption in your system, suddenly you get to change your system. And I think that is what a 4-day work week does for us, as well as suddenly, I think someone mentioned the in-kind, and I wish I had thought of it, the in-kind savings that you get by not suddenly having to add on paying staff for an additional day for training for, say, next generation science standards or working on Common Core, things like that. It's already built into our schedule. And it gives us the capacity to suddenly, if you see something that's going wrong, 2 Fridays you get to act on it. Rather than, how do we get this into the schedule? Can we get everybody there? I know they're not gonna come on a Saturday morning. So suddenly you can respond much more rapidly. I mean, it's, my former experience was in comprehensive high school, and we were one of the 16 high schools that had GATES grants for smaller learning communities. And so I've got some experience with that sort of reform measure, and then suddenly when I came over to Patterson and became part of this 4-day week, it was like, wow, this is beautiful.
Deborah?
So the waiver will expire in 2 years. I think we asked a question about that yesterday. So what will be your plan then? Are you going to extend it again along with other small.
You know, that would be, would that be the nuclear option? I don't know. But if we can establish that a program like this works and works well, it would also occur to me that maybe the first thing you would want to do is come here and ask for a waiver under option 1 and figure out how to use something that might not be so formidable as suddenly just trying to, play the ace,
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Great, thank you so much for coming up. And do we have one? No, those are all the ones. Yeah, we had the one that was taken off. Okay, great. How much time do we have? Can we address a couple more things? Yeah. And just a reminder to committee members, at noon, we are going straight into public testimony. But that is gonna try to get a couple more things in.
see what else we can get through here. So Madeline, we are researching your question. Okay, so remember you've got the temporary waivers for the 24 credit high school graduation reports. Those are things you don't,
Yeah, we don't
just,
vote.
they're,
I mean, we don't.
I've come to call them as filings rather than waivers, because they file it with us so that for compliance purposes, we know what's going on, but it's not. Okay?
Good comment on that.
Dan, go ahead.
Going back to Linda's presentation yesterday, reading through the waivers, there's a lot of commonality as to what the real causes are that they need the waivers.